Test, test, test. Are we working? I think we're working now. All right. Well, thank you all very much for joining the stream. I just want to go ahead and get this show on the road, get this party started. Why are you here? Why are we here? What are we doing here? So we are going to work on baseball betting project over the course of the next couple months. So the project we're going to be working on is an over-under MLB project with Python. So if you know anything about sports betting, you do know that there are over-unders. So one team has to score more points than the other team to win, but also there's an over-under for a Vegas line. So the Vegas line is predicting that there's going to be 8, 9, 10 runs scored in a game. And we essentially, over the course of the next probably 5 months, are going to be building out a project that we are going to try to predict what those over-unders are going to be. Or essentially, we're going to try to predict the amount of runs scored in that game so we can try and beat the Vegas lines. Why can I do this? How can I do this? How are you going to follow me? Well, I am a senior data scientist. I work for a utilities company at the moment. I am a former consultant. Again, my name's Sam. I graduated my grad school in 2020 from NC State, Master of Science Analytics, and then I also graduated 2018 also from NC State with a double major in communication and Spanish. So where kind of my love for all of this comes into play. I love baseball, always loved it, and I always have loved sports betting, or recently have started to love sports betting. But the combination of baseball and data is really where my story begins. It's how I came into grad school, how I came into the career that I'm in, is this combination of a lifelong love for baseball and this secretly lifelong love of data. So you combine those two things together, and well, what do you get? You get a data scientist, and you get a data scientist that really wants to work on a baseball betting project. So here we are. Who are you? You are someone that has some Python experience. I'm not going to say you're an expert in Python, but I would recommend that you have some experience. You feel at least somewhat comfortable with it. Because if you're not feeling comfortable at all with Python, this project is going to be immensely more difficult. So just to put that spoiler out there, you don't need any sports betting experience. I'm not expecting that from anyone here. But generally, you just need a desire to join me on this journey to become a better programmer and potentially a better sports bettor. So at the end of this project, what are you going to have? You're going to have this code, this thing that works really well together. You'll be able to plug in different inputs and outputs, and at the end of this journey, we're going to walk away with something that you can either tinker with some more and continue to use it, continue to update it, continue to make it better now with all this newfound knowledge that you have of what's out there, different methodologies and different even models that you can use to try and predict these things. Or you'll just walk away having learned some stuff about code. I mean, betting, when I'm running test bets and when I'm running things to see if they'll work out, bet online. The link is in the description, so you can hop on down there and just grab that link and move on. But yeah, I mean, let's get started. It's going to be a long time until we have something that works. So we want to make sure that we can move through this swiftly, we can move through it quickly, and I'm excited to get started, so I hope you are too. So let's go ahead. So I'm going to pull up my OneNote. Oh, and the difference about me and everything that I'm about to show you and everything we're about to do together is I'll be prepared for these streams, but I'm going to be mentally prepared. Because what I want is I want you to see the process. I want you to see how all this works. I'm not trying to be super crisp and super clean. I'm really trying to be someone that you can learn from. I'm trying to show you ways that you can operate in your life and your coding life and your programming life. I'm not here to know everything. I'm here to guide us through the process as well as help us put all of it together. So a lot of data science guides and a lot of data scientists will make YouTube videos and they're going to show you, okay, here's how to install Homebrew. Here's how to work on VS Code. Here's how to install VS Code. Here's how to install Git. Here's how to install environments. But when do you get to kind of understand the flow of these things and how they all work together? That's what I want to kind of provide you with throughout this whole process. So you'll see me come prepared with, so I use OneNote. I really like OneNote. With a OneNote notebook, usually maybe some sort of PowerPoint like this, but generally everything we do in terms of coding, we're gonna kind of do live on the stream, and then we'll also have kind of recap videos afterwards, right? So we want to make sure that you get a look at those. Great. So objectives of this project, again, over under for MLB, over under for baseball, and Python programming. We will get better, modularized, more efficient code. How can you become a better Python programmer? How can I become a better Python programmer throughout this process? So that's what I want you to kind of take away from this. Today's objective, really just getting started on the basics, Python installation, installing the IDE, getting VS Code in. So I exclusively use VS Code. I know there's other IDEs out there. I've tried them, I've used them, but VS Code's one I always come back to. Homebrew installation if you're on a Mac, so that's going to be optional for PC. I mean, not even needed for PC. Git Setup with Homebrew, again, because we're on a Mac, so we're working with Homebrew, and then environments. So, and I don't know why I say GitHub, it's Git Setup, and then environments with Miniconda is my choice, since again I'm asking you to have some Python experience here. So Anaconda would be your start if you're just starting fresh, but Miniconda is a great tool once you're not starting fresh anymore. So first up, Python, I mean, pretty self-explanatory. 3.11 came out today, I think, so because I just checked this yesterday and it was still 3.10.6. So you can download 3.11 if you would like. I don't think there's going to be too many compatibility issues between 3.11 and 3.6, which is what I'm going to be working on. 3.10.6, I mean. So we should be fine there. Go ahead and download that. Once you get Python downloaded, so I'm not going to go through the whole download process, but you can pause the video if you're streaming. You can pause the video if you're looking at this later. So you have this here. Download that. Should be pretty self-explanatory install. Next up is Visual Code. So again, usually just find the Visual Studio Code. You can go ahead and download that. You have a couple of different options: the Windows x64, the Linux, or the Mac. Mac is universal, so Mac will work across your M1 chips as well as grab the install Homebrew, and then go ahead and throw it up here into your terminal. You can hit enter. It's going to make you hit your password. You're not going to see your password pop up. So don't worry about that. You just need to make sure you know your password, and it will take you through. So just throw it in there, hit enter, and let's let it do its thing. So I already have Homebrew, so we should be fine. Looks like it is working on some stuff. It is updating some things, so that's good. All right, installation successful. That's what we're looking for. It's exactly what we want. Now, step 4 is Git. So again, if you're on a Windows, you don't need to go through this Homebrew step, but we do need to all go through the Git step. So Git, Mac, Windows, Linux, and I actually did Git with Homebrew. So you can brew install Git. That's how I chose to install Git. But again, if you're on a Windows, just go in here, find the standalone installer. I recommend the standalone installer. Find the standalone installer that will fit your system. I see we have a spammer in the comments. I mean, at least there's someone in here, I guess. Haha, jokes. Go ahead and flag that. All right, we went ahead and flagged that user. And guys, I'll be checking out the comments as we go, so definitely shout out if you have any questions or if you need anything, just let me know. So we're gonna go ahead and get the Git install for the Windows if you have Windows, and like I said, for Mac we're doing that Homebrew installation. you see I have the extensions here for VS Code. We'll go back to those. And then step 5 is Git extension in VS Code. And finally, so I'll open up VS Code and we'll kind of tackle all that at once. And finally, we're going to look at the environments in Miniconda. So go ahead and get that Miniconda installed. So we're going to load up Miniconda. You see your system requirements. I'm assuming your system fits all the requirements that you need. And then go ahead and get that installation done. So I would download the package. You can also download the bash. This is what I would choose for my system, 64-bit package. I'm on the M1, so I'm on the 2021 Mac. And then Windows, again, 64-bit, 32-bit. Just make sure you know what your system is. And that's a quick Google search away, just how to find that. Macs, it's pretty explanatory. You either have the Intel chip or the M1 chip. That one's a little bit easier to figure out. Great. So what am I assuming you now have installed? I'm assuming you've got Python. I'm assuming you've installed VS Code. I'm assuming you've installed Homebrew if necessary. I'm assuming you've installed Git, and I'm assuming you've installed Miniconda. If you haven't done all these things, go back, pause the video, do them, because they're going to be, each one of these is going to be important for everything that we are about to do now. So let us go ahead and we're going to open up a terminal. So I'm working now in base. So this is the base terminal. We want to, first things first. So we have Git and we have environments. So these are two things that we're going to want to be able to work with kind of together in tangent while we're working on this project. So the first thing I'm going to do is load up the environment. It doesn't really matter. We could go Git and we could set up our branch. We could do the environments. Not a huge deal. But I'm going to go ahead and create the environment. So conda create is going to create an environment. You don't need to do conda environment create. You can just do conda create. Give it a name. We're going to call it MLB betting. So we're now creating this environment inside of Conda. Just another quick point, when you're creating environment, if you're going to install packages, which you are going to install packages, I recommend only installing with one channel, which means if you're installing with Conda, base Conda, keep installing with base Conda. If you're installing with Conda Forge, new environment, go out, create the new environment, go in, and then install that package with Conda Forge, and then install everything with Conda Forge. Likewise with pip. If you're installing things with pip, only install with pip. You get dependency hell if you start trying to install with Conda, Conda Forge, pip, especially if you install with all three in one environment. Only install with one of those things. So we're going to go ahead and activate our environment, MLB betting. Now you can see our base changes to MLB betting. So we're now inside of our environment. And just real quick, why is an environment important? Environment important because we want to maintain consistency in our packages in the environment or in this project that we're working in, and we don't want these packages to interfere with a different project we might be working on, because at one time or another you could have, again, conflictions or dependency hell if you're trying to work with like your base environment for every project, because you're going to have to start installing different things, and then you're going to really screw up your system, and then you turn like me and you lose hours just trying to reset your computer, just trying to do all these things. I remember at the beginning of my data science journey, I did a lot of this. So MLB betting, we're now in our environment, and let's say git this, just make sure that we actually have it. You can do git v, and git will tell you which version of Git you're using. So I'm using Git 2.38.0, and Conda v, actually it's Conda version. Conda has the same thing, so I'm using Conda 22.9.0, which is the most recent version of Conda, which I've actually had issues with in other scenarios at work, but not here yet. And I get versions 2.38.0. So we'll clear the screen. All right, cool. So I'm still working my MLB betting environment, and now we want to make sure to create a Git branch, but we want to make sure we create the Git branch where we want to create it. So where are we right now? It looks like we're in the users. So let's go ahead and move over into documents. Yep, so documents, and then we want to, actually there's a lot going on here. Let's get back out. Let's do desktop. There's a little bit less going on my desktop, exactly. And actually created this. So over under project, I've created a folder just for this. So now you see I'm in MLB betting, over under project, and now I'm going to choose to elect to do the branching to create the branch from here. So we can do git branch H, and then that's going to tell us what we can do from here. So we're going to look for list, delete, move, copy, list, show, create the branches. Actually, no. And this is what I'm saying. We will learn together. So there's a lot of different options. And I know I can do this in VS Code. I know I can create one in VS Code. So I might just do it this way. Because then I can publish the branch from there. But let's do it from GitHub. So hop into your GitHub. We want to go ahead and create, let's see, go ahead and create a repository. So we're going to do over under project. It's going to be public, description, creating a baseball betting application with Python. We'll add a README, get ignored template. We'll do Python so we are not tracking a bunch of files we don't need to be tracking, and or do the MIT license. Great. So I've got my get ignore, my license, my README. Now, how do you populate a Git branch? So this is also not a course where I'm teaching you just one thing. This is a course where we're going through and we're learning a lot of different things, and how to get started on a project is, hard. It's not necessarily easy if you don't know where you're going and what you're doing. So, CookieCutter for data science. This is my recommendation when you first start out on a project. I just really don't have a better recommendation for you. So, CookieCutter will do it for you if you just do CookieCutter data science. It's really, really easy once you get this started. So remember, let's go ahead. We want to find how to get started. Pip install CookieCutter. So here's where we get into dependency hell, right? CookieCutter shouldn't require many things, so CookieCutter might actually be fine. But let's see if we can Conda install it just really quick. Yes, we can. It's in the Conda Forge, which I'll be honest, most things are in Conda Forge. Okay, what do we have installed? We don't have anything installed yet. So let's do this. Conda Forge channel priority. So what we're gonna do is we're actually going to add Conda Forge to our channels. That's what we need to do first. So add Conda Forge to channels. Yep, here we go. So Conda config, add channels, Conda Forge. So what we're doing is we're adding Conda Forge as a channel now that we can use to install packages in the future. So Conda Forge is already in channels list. Great. Now, Conda config set channel strict priority list. So what's happening? Channel priority is strict. So what's happening now is now every time we do a Conda install, it's going to use Conda Forge unless we specify Anaconda. Okay? So now we can just do Conda install and blink, and it's going to install it with Conda Forge. But now if we can't find something in Conda Forge, we would have to do the C Anaconda, and we'd have to install across environments. But I am going to stick with Conda Forge. I like it. I'm a big fan of Conda Forge channel. I'll be honest, Conda Forge channel is not Like, they're not guaranteed to work, I'm pretty sure is what it is. But, I mean, packages always work for me when I get them off Conda Forge. It's just, I think there's fewer restrictions, maybe fewer checks and tests and unit testing done on the compilation of the Conda Forge channel versus the actual Conda channel. Conda channel is a lot more stable builds, and Conda Forge is a little bit more exploratory and experimental. But I've never had a problem. So we're now in MLB betting over under project. We got CookieCutter installed. So guess what we can do now? We can CookieCutter. And now we're in our project directory. We want to make sure of that. And also we installed that in the MLB betting, right? So we installed that in our environment, which is going to be important. So we're going to go ahead and run CookieCutter within here. So I've downloaded it. I've downloaded it before. Is it okay to delete and re-download it? Yes, we can re-download it in case there's been any changes. So project name over under, well, we'll do, yeah, over under, keep it the same name, over under project. Repo name, over under project. What is the repo name? Over under project, yes it is. So we're checking to make sure it's the same on our GitHub as it is here. Author name, description, over under project for MLB betting using Python. And so we don't have an S3 bucket, we don't have an AWS profile, we're using Python 3. So CookieCutter Data Science is giving me deprecation alert that they're moving to version v2 soon. All right, but let's go in now and let's check our over under project. And we see, there we go. So let's move this out. We're actually just going to want to take, okay, so I need to move that out because we're going to overwrite. We're going to pretty much overwrite everything in here. So everything that's in here, we're going to add in to the base repo, and then all these things, right, moving to trash. So we're going to see all of these folders eventually load. They just have to actually complete that process, but it looks like everything else is loaded in pretty well, and eventually they will get there. Things will just take time. Oh yes, oh, here we go. Replace, skip over that. Can't be replaced by an item it contains. We're good. Sorry, I missed that. Went over to my other screen. They were waiting for me. So when you saw that, they might have been waiting for us to do something. And now we have our great over under project. And you see if you refresh your GitHub page, it's not there. So what do you need to do? Now you need to actually git status. Yes, I don't know why I did that. We didn't. Right. Telling you, man. It's not going to be perfect, but we are going to get it done. So HTTPS, we're going to go ahead and clone the repository. So you do need to clone the repository. So we're going to get out, and we're going to go into our desktop again, because that's where we want it to be. We're actually going to, we got to get rid of everything in here. Let's go ahead and we're going to move everything to the desktop. Let us make sure that they got over to the desktop. Yep, everything got over to the desktop, which is by date modified, so everything's together. Now let's go ahead and delete over under project. Let us git clone. Oh, bad idea. Git clone. So what I did there was I hit the up arrow key. I shouldn't have pasted. And now we're going to clone the over under project. And now we see we have cloned the over under project. We're going to take everything that was supposed to be in there. We're going to throw it back in there. So you all should hopefully be able to avoid the mistakes I just made. But now you should be able to git We need to change directories. So ls over under project. And again, you can name this whatever you want to name it. ls, good, we have what we want. Git status, so we have a lot of untracked files. We have a lot of things not staged for commit. So we're gonna go ahead and add all of our non-tracked files. And again, git add period and git commit period are generally not recommended because you don't have good comments around what it is you added, what it is you committed. So now that we've added everything, clear the screen again, I'm gonna git commit. This is just the first time that we're doing this, so we need to get everything into, we need to enter a commit message. So committing, committing first round of files. Never run into this before specifically. Anyone else know how to get rid of this? Committing first round of files. An empty message aborts the commit. Well, I finished my message. That's all I want to add in. Commit message, terminal, Mac, Git. Write a detailed description, press escape, and type WQ. To save and exit. Great. See, power of Google. So we've committed everything, and guess what? Now we push. So let's pop in to our GitHub. And now, boom, everything has been pushed. We're doing great. This is the README. So you have some pretty awesome README templates as well. If you want to go in and use those, I've used them before. I'm no stranger to them, so I could definitely see myself doing that maybe in between weeks, but we're not going to run through that right now because that will take a while. So now that we've created our GitHub page and everything, you want to actually go through and let's investigate what is going on. So we have a lot of interesting things happening here. Docs probably don't, I'm going to assume we don't need most of these files, right? And that's the first thing. We're really just trying to be basic. So we have some things that we might not really need, but there is a generally good way to approach this. So data, features, models, and visualization. That's one of my favorite things about CookieCutter is we have these different files. And within SRC, this is actually, this is your code. So data is meant for code relating to data. Features is meant for code related to features. Models for model code, and visualization for visualization code. I also like to add in a couple things in here. So I'm going to go ahead and add in where I see necessary. So in SRC, I'm going to add in a dev folder. So I get a lot of practice code. I get a lot of junk code sometimes. So that's what we're going to do here in our dev folder. And then secondarily, we are also going to add that to our git ignore because we do not want that. And I don't see my git ignore. That's fine. Guess what we're going to do? We're going to create the git ignore. Python git ignore template. Here's your Python git ignore template, so you can add all these things into a git ignore. We're going to now load up Visual Studio Code because we need to add in that git ignore information. So there it is. Found it, and it's actually already there. So am I just blind? I didn't see it. Nope, I really didn't see it. It wasn't there, but it is here. So that's great. All I did to get Visual Studio Code up was just do code period. So that came out pretty good. but in case you need it, here is the Python git ignore. This is where you would navigate to actually grab that and pull it down if you didn't already have it, if you needed it, etc., etc. Let's take a look at the README for the project. So we're gonna stick to GitHub again right now. Take a look at the README. So the README is describing kind of everything that's going on. The makefile, again, this is probably an area where I need to learn about a little bit more, but I'm not I'm not a person who's used makefiles before. If you have like suggestions, if you have places you can lead me to, that would be great. I would love to learn more about makefiles and why they're important, because they're in there, so they must be important. Data is going to be important for us. Also the format of data. Let's pop in and actually be able to, oh, we don't have a data folder. Did that just get missed? I don't see that. Great. Well, let's go ahead and make sure we have. So we're going to add in, not there. Going to add it here. Going to do this by kind. I'm going to do a data folder. All right, so we want external. We want interim. We want processed. And we want raw. So these are the 4 folders that we're going to be using. And again, if we look over here, we see externals data from third-party sources. We're going to be working with a lot of third-party data. I mean, we don't have any data, so technically all of it is third-party. Interim, so data that has been transformed, but it's not yet ready to go into modeling. So we'll do a lot of data here as well. And then processed, so the final canonical data sets from modeling, the original, and then raw is the original immutable data dump. So this should be where if you're running API calls, if you're going to grab data down, it's either going to external or raw. It's going to depend on your use case and your situation, which one you decide to use, and which one is appropriate to use in the moment as well. So that's what we're looking at. You know, unless I downloaded the wrong, it's possible that I downloaded the wrong cookie cutter, because there are multiple kinds of cookie cutters, so just be careful of that. Be wise some of the things, but it looks fine, and it looks generally what we want it to be. So we've gone over data, docs. So docs, we're gonna go ahead. It says default Sphinx project. I mean, documents. You can either get rid of or you can keep. Models, this is important. So if you pickle models, you're going to throw your models in the models folder. References, in case you have like data dictionaries. I tend to put data dictionaries in here, and it says it here. Data dictionaries. We can also add notebooks. If we are using Jupyter, where we want to do some initial data exploration, this is kind of the place to put it. So I know I downloaded the right cookie cutter because I have notebooks here. Reports and figures. So in reports, if you have PDFs or HTMLs or latex, like it says, you can add them in here. And then figures, if you're going to be producing PNGs, those go inside of reports and figures. That's where those will go. And then, as we've talked about, data, dev, features, models, visualization. Dev goes inside the git ignore. And I opened that up earlier. I don't think I added it in the git ignore though, so still need to make sure I do that. So this is GitHub. You have it here. Again, this is public, so you can come in and look at it if you would like. And then we're also going to now hop into Visual Studio Code. So time for part 7, whatever part we're at this point. So go ahead, open up your terminal, and make sure you have the right branch, or make sure you're in your over under GitHub project, and make sure you're in your virtual environment, again, that we created with Conda, and we're installing everything with Conda Forge. We actually need to, let's see, Conda list. We need to see what environments and what things we have installed so far. So we do have Python installed, so that's great. It means we can load Python and do what we need to do. You see everything was installed with Conda Forge, so that's correct. That's how we would expect it. And let's go ahead and let's open up Visual Studio Code. unable to resolve your shell environment. This happens sometimes. I'm sure there's some sort of error I need to search and I need to look for. Let's go ahead and add src dev to git ignore to not track files. This is really good practice too when you're working on a team. You want to have this kind of dev spot so you can write a bunch of code that doesn't get tracked, so you can write your trash code there and people aren't going to be frustrated with you. Let's go ahead and just say administrative updates, not too many important things going on here, and let's go ahead and push those changes up to our remote branch. So now we've got all this. Let's go ahead, let me see, what do we need to do? Let's go over some of the Visual Studio basics. So first of all, you need to make sure you install the Python extension within Visual Studio before you can really do anything at all. So Python by Microsoft, it's the only one you should be downloading. I don't know what's going on down here. There's a lot of stuff. Next up, I recommend Pylance. So this is going to be for linting. It's going to be for generally checking over our code. It's really good. Next up, we have OneDark Pro, which is the theme that I'm using. Again, you can use whatever theme you want, but this is the theme that I choose to use. It's easy on the eyes. It's nice. So this is what I'm using for my theme. Python indent. So you want to make sure to download this. This will give us good indentation when we're building out like this. You see dictionaries and it'll keep everything indented where it's supposed to indent automatically, which is really, really nice. Can't even describe how nice this is when you don't have to, when you indent correctly also in your functions. And you see right now, there's no docstring. Well, guess what? Let's make that really easy. Auto docstring. So auto docstring, when we go to actually write functions, you'll just do triple quotes, open it up, and then all of a sudden it gives you your arguments, your keyword arguments specifically, your raises and your returns. So if you've raised an error, it'll give you that, whatever arguments you're using and whatever returns you have. So it's really, really, it's a great package to use. It saves a lot of time, and it makes me a lot more likely to actually write my doc strings versus not. And finally, I'm gonna make sure you're using Git. Check it. So you should have Git, if you should have the source control installed, and it actually doesn't look like it needs an extension. But I did on a Mac, I did actually have to go to this help article. I was running into issues with the Homebrew installed Git. So I just actually had to go into my bash profile, so I can make that easy for you if you have to do that. Next is only take a minute if this is not necessary for you. So you want to make sure you do, I think it's touch. And then you want to do bash profile. Oh no, nano. I don't do this a lot, but I've had to do it a couple times. It is nano. So you're going to nano your bash profile, and you can export path. I think there's a way I think you can add these on to each other. Like I don't need to have these two lines, but I'm not super familiar with it, so I just left this line as it is. So export path, the OPT Homebrew, because I'm on the M1, but if you're on Intel, you'll add this one. So thank you very much for Lavani on Stack Overflow for being able to answer this question, or Apple Stack Exchange actually. Once you have that, you're going to do Control X to exit out. And again, this is a Mac thing specifically. And then you're just going to make sure you source. So source your bash profile, and it'll make those changes. Source is basically just updating that bash profile. That's all it's doing. Great. So now you should have Git working in Visual Studio Code. You should have Visual Studio Code. Amazing. So for today, we're going to go ahead and call it a day. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot to take in one day. It's a lot to make sure we have set up for the next time. But I just wanted to make sure that we got everything done, and we got everything, so I didn't actually have anything left. Okay. I wanted to make sure we got everything done in terms of setting up our environments, in terms of getting our technologies ready to work with. And if you're not done yet, definitely just send me a message, hit me up, so that way next week when we really get started, we can have some fun. We can start programming. So I will have actual content to deliver to you all next week, and feel like this is actual content too, but I just want to make sure we're all kind of on the same playing field, on the same starting page once we get started working on this project. And this is my time to set you up and hook you up with everything that you will need to be successful over the next couple months as we work on this really intense project. Over the next couple months, I will also be traveling, so I'll be here, I'll be in Mexico, I'll be in South America. So I'll be here every week at 7. Couple times I might have to miss, but you'll see me in different environments as well. I'll be hosting this in different environments. I'll be here in my room. I will be in Mexico, and you'll travel with me, and we'll travel together on this journey. We'll get it done, and by the end of this project, you'll be looking at something really nice. So, I hope you're excited. I hope you're ready. It's going to be a very fun couple months. We're going to meet here every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Whatever time that is for you, 6 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Pacific. Some people in Europe to midnight, but there will be clips afterwards as well that you can come in and take a look at. So again, thank you very much for joining. Thank you very much for watching.